Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the WOW History Channel. My name is Ron Guth, and this week I'm going to let you in on some little known secrets about the Declaration of Independence. Hopefully some of these secrets will make you go, wow, I never knew that before. Every American should know about the Declaration of Independence. It is the document that said to Great Britain that we as American colonists were tired of the unfair treatment that we were receiving at the hands of King George III, and that we were done. We were going to separate from Britain and go our own way. The document was signed on July 4th, 1776, and the document that you see today includes the signatures of 56 people, including John Hancock, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and other founding fathers. The Declaration of Independence is on display in the rotunda of the National Archives Museum in Washington, D.C., but you can't see it today because the museum is closed because of COVID. The Declaration has been seen by millions of people in person, including yours truly, many more people in print, and even more people have seen it online. However, there are some things about the Declaration of Independence that you probably never knew. Here's secret number one. The Declaration of Independence was ratified on July 2nd, but it wasn't signed until July 4th. John Adams, who was one of the signers and one of the members of the Continental Congress, he wrote to his wife Abigail and told her excitedly that the date of July 2nd will be remembered in American history forever. However, he was wrong. And July 4th became the preferred date. That's the date that the document was actually signed. But can you imagine celebrating the 2nd of July instead of the 4th of July? It just sounds weird, doesn't it? We're so used to the 4th of July. Secret number two. You know that there are a lot of signatures on the Declaration. When you look at it, there's 56 signatures. It's pretty crowded at the bottom. It's got tons of people that signed it. The most prominent signature is that of John Hancock. That's because he was the president of the Continental Congress when the Declaration was passed into law and signed. His signature, if you look at it, it's also the largest, the most prominent on the document. It's also one of the most striking. It's a very attractive signature. So if you've ever heard of your signature being referred to as your John Hancock, that is why. Everybody knows John Hancock's signature. Secret number three. The first printed versions of the Declaration of Independence only had John Hancock's signature as president and Charles Thomson as secretary, attesting to Hancock's signature. Now, approximately 200 copies were made by a printer named Dunlap, who sent them to cities throughout the colonies where they were read in public so that the people would know what was coming. You know, we're making this announcement that we are declaring independence from Great Britain, and you better get ready. Now, only a few Dunlap copies are known today, and they have sold for millions of dollars each. They're extremely valuable. Secret number four. Only 34 delegates signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. New York, the delegates from there didn't even ratify the Declaration until July 9th, and their 4 delegates didn't sign until July 15th. And then on July 18th, 2 more members from Maryland signed the document, and even when the members of the Continental Congress met for a formal signing ceremony on August 2nd, 1776, there were still a couple of signatures that weren't added until later. Thus, when you see a modern copy of the Declaration, keep in mind that all those signatures you see there were not placed there on the same day. For instance, Matthew Thornton was not elected to Congress until after the Declaration had passed, but he received special permission to sign the document when he arrived in Philadelphia in late 1776. Another signer, Thomas McKeon, he may not have even signed the Declaration until 1781, way after the Declaration had been passed. Here's secret number 5. The Declaration was created and signed in Philadelphia, not Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't know that the capital of America was in Philadelphia until it was moved to Washington in May of 1800. Here's secret number 6. If you've seen the Declaration in person, you know, and you've probably been very disappointed by how faded it is. It's almost illegible. It is not in good condition after all these years. It was handwritten on parchment, which is basically a sheepskin or animal skin, which as a form to be written on will probably last forever. However, the lettering has faded over the years because of exposure to ultraviolet light and just improper treatment. Today, the document is very closely guarded and is specially protected from the elements. They're doing everything they can to preserve it. Remember the Nicolas Cage movie, National Treasure, and what he had to go through to steal the Declaration? That was pure fiction, and it would be nearly impossible for someone today to overcome the security features that protect the document today. And they're certainly not going to put lemon juice on the back to try to find invisible ink, which isn't on the Declaration anyway. One other reason that the Declaration is in such poor condition is that in the early 1800s, a copy of the document was made using a wet transfer process. So basically, they put water and wetted down the Declaration and then placed it on a copper plate. And what that did was it transferred some of the ink and lettering of the Declaration to the copper plate, which was then used to print multiple copies of the document. Now today, there's no way you could do anything like that to the document, and archivists would never even use such a treatment anyway. And of course, with digital photography, we don't even have to do that. But especially knowing that parchment and water don't mix. I mean, think about the experiences you've had with leather goods when they get wet. You can see why that would cause the document to get kind of funky. Secret number 7. The Declaration of Independence was signed after the Revolutionary War had already started, not before. Now, my loyal subscribers, all 57 of you, thank you very much, who have seen my earlier Wow History number 10, which was when did the American Revolutionary War start? You already know that the Revolutionary War began with the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775, which was more than a year before the Declaration of Independence was ratified. Here's secret number 8. The signatures on the Declaration of Independence are grouped by states. For instance, the 3 signatures farthest to the left, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, and George Walton, are all from Georgia. If you look at Edward Rutledge, who is in the column second from the left, right kind of in the middle, he seems to be all alone, but he was part of the South Carolina delegation that appears below. Hayward and Lynch from the delegation signed on July 4th, but Rutledge signed above later, and Middleton, who signs below, also signed later, but all 4 of those guys are from South Carolina. So on July 4th, the Declaration looked a little sparse with only 34 signatures. And you can see how full it is today now that those other signatures were added later on. As I mentioned earlier, there's 56 signatures now. So the secrets I just unveiled are not really secrets at all, but they are generally not taught in schools, so you've probably never heard of them. Thus, the point of this video is to encourage you to dig a little bit deeper into your favorite historical events and people. You might just find some secrets of your own. And if you ever get to Washington, be sure to visit the National Archives and take a look at the Declaration of Independence before it fades away completely. I'll bet that after viewing this video, you will look at the Declaration of Independence in a completely different light, knowing the things that you know now. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you like my videos, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, it's simple, and it really helps me move up in YouTube's algorithm. I'd like to get to 100 subscribers sometime soon. So please be sure to hit the subscribe button. So I'll see you next week for another episode of the WoW History Channel. Again, thanks for viewing, and goodbye.